going to completely change gears here and just talk a little bit about the impact of high stakes testing on students and educators, and specifically how it kind of impacts potentially new teachers as well.
I don't mind starting with that. I think we have to accept the fact that high stakes testing is out there, and it is something that we have to deal with. It's quite obvious that the MCAS, which is the National Comprehensive Assessment System, has been around, and there has been an awful lot of good things that have come out of it. I think one of the biggest things that have come out of the MCAS testing in the public school sector, it's got teachers to talk to one another about looking at the curriculum that's being offered in the school, and talking about what should be taught in one particular subject area, in what particular grade. And I think that is very, very important, for youngsters. I think the whole accountability kit, given the financial situation, is going to lock school districts into high stakes testing. The unfortunate thing that I have reservations about with the MCAS testing is that you need to pass the MCAS exam in order to get a diploma from a high school here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Because I think there are other ways in which you can measure a child's progress or a student's progress. Portfolio assessment is a great way to take a look at someone who's interested in, let's say, in art and music. For example, a student going through a school and applies for a college and wants to become an artist, they don't bring their MCAS results to that particular college. They bring their portfolio, show them samples of the work that they've done in the art program. So that, as I mentioned before, assessment is extremely important. It's quite obvious that MCAS is important. We've got No Child Left Behind out there at the federal level, which we have to meet. When I say we, educators have to meet the mandates by 2014, and I don't know what's coming after that. You do go through phases, but the high stakes testing, has been around, and I think it's going to be around a little bit longer before, whatever the next step happens to be. So I think as a teacher, you're not going to be alone in the classroom. You're going to have other people working with you, as I said, in a grade level team or in a subject area, and they will provide you the assistance to be able to understand, the curriculum, to be able to assist you with regard to analyzing test results, and hopefully, after a reasonable period of time, you become proficient in understanding that yourself. I mean, that's the hope of, administrators and department chairs, that you'll become as knowledgeable as everyone else in the school building is on. Unless you want to become a statistician and whatever, you can present all the in-service workshops in the district. But I think it's here to stay for a while, and you just have to get used to it. There's that initial, gee, I really get my kids ready and whatever for this. Once you explain it, they get prepared. The vast majority of them make a good and a reasonably good school system.
I have to say something about this, of course. In a lot of ways, the high stakes testing and the whole standards-based education has done marvelous things for education. For example, when I first started teaching, my students, if you were a level 3 student, which was one of the lower level kids, you read Hamlet the comic instead of Hamlet, in its pristine form. And I can remember when they told us, everybody's going to read Hamlet, and teachers were saying, these kids can't read Hamlet, but of course they could. You used differentiated instruction, and you did a lot of different things, and the lower level kids did it, and they loved it, and they learned it, and that was fabulous. It is a little scary that so much rests on a test when scientifically you know that there's variability in tests and there's all kinds of things, and it's one test. So I'm really hoping that, the Obama blueprint, we're going to go down to Washington and talk to people and try and get it to change so it's not all on this one test. For example, a few years ago, the 4th grade essay question for fourth graders was, what do you like to do on a snow day? Well, in January, we've got 42 kids from Brazil who don't even know what snow is. And so that's their question. So, I mean, there's a lot of, like, you know, things that have to be worked out when so much emphasis is placed on a test. You know, there's, you know, everybody hears the story about the kid who found this mistake on the math test, but yet she failed it. You know, so I'm hoping to see it go to portfolios or some sort of, you know, it was always supposed to be, MCAS stood for Comprehensive Assessment System, not one test. So I'd like to, you know, my hope is always there that there will be. And the other thing it created is sort of a hierarchical curriculum where math, science, and English become really, really important, and art and music and social studies not so much. And so even with AP testing, you know, my school has a grant right now that gives everybody who teaches English, science, and math AP courses. For every kid that I get to pass, I get $100. Then if my kids reach a certain threshold, I get a bonus of $1,000, and things like this. And so, you know, what's going on now is teachers are pirating, you know, saying to kids that are taking social studies, hey, you need to be in my class, you know, because everybody wants a kid. I find it very insulting that people think you're going to throw $100 to me that I'm going to teach any differently than I did before, because you know, I won't. I mean, I teach the best I can all the time. So I worry that it's you know, having this curriculum, and it's scaring the bejesus out of kids. Kids are terrified. MCAS, they hear it, and they, you know, and they're all nervous, and they're sick, and they get stomach aches, and so I think something has to be done not to put so much pressure. Will my school, my urban school system, ever meet the fatal formula that says by 2014 every single kid in my school has to pass? There's no way it's ever going to happen. You know, I have too many kids coming in from different, we're a gateway community in Revere because we live right near the airport. And so, I mean, probably, you know, at least more than half of my kids don't speak English as a first language, or they've only been in this country for 1 year. They have to pass. So I think things are going to have to change.
Can I just make one additional comment on that with regard to the MCAS? Once again, I think you should be aware of the fact that the Department of Education also has taken steps within the Commonwealth to try and make the situation a little bit easier for the students. First of all, most schools have remedial programs associated with the subject areas where students haven't done well. If they haven't done well in math, maybe they've done well in the math course, they made it in small group classes, etc. But that all comes as the analysis of the, you know, the test results. Another thing that happens is the department offers students 10th, 11th, and 12th grade to take retests. So they just don't take it once if they don't complete it, they don't get the diploma. And then last but not least, there's a provision for a waiver. That a high school principal and a guidance counselor looking at a student's overall academic performance in the high school, in addition to his or her score on the MCAS exam, would make a waiver request to the appeals board at the Department of Ed, and hopefully the youngster will get his or her diploma. So things are better.